Hi everyone, my name's Amanda Grunstrom and I am the director of Kid City, which is our children's ministry at New City Church. And I'm super excited to be able to share some verses with you today. We're going to be in John chapter 18, verses 12 through 32. And if you have some coffee, grab it and let's dive in. Then the company of soldiers, the commander, and the Jewish officials arrested Jesus and tied him up. First they led him to Annas, since he was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, who was high priest that year. Caiaphas was the one who had advised the Jews that it would be better for one man to die for the people. Simon Peter was following Jesus, as was another disciple. That disciple was an acquaintance of the high priest. So he went with Jesus into the high priest's courtyard. But Peter remained standing outside by the door. So the other disciple, the one known to the high priest, went out and spoke to the girl who was the doorkeeper and brought Peter in. Then the servant girl, who was the doorkeeper, said to Peter, "You aren't one of this man's disciples too, are you?" "I am not," he said. Now the servants and the officials had made a charcoal fire because it was cold. They were standing there warming themselves, and Peter was standing with them, warming himself. The high priest questioned Jesus about his disciples and about his teaching. "I have spoken openly to the world," Jesus answered him. "I have always taught in the synagogue and in the temple, where all the Jews congregate, and I haven't spoken anything in secret. So why do you question me? Question those who heard what I told them. Look, they know what I said." When he said these things, one of the officials standing by slapped Jesus, and he said, "Is this the way that you answer the high priest?" "If I have spoken wrongly," Jesus answered him, "give evidence about the wrong. But if rightly, why do you hit me?" Then Annas sent him bound to Caiaphas the high priest. Now Simon Peter was standing and warming himself. They said to him, "You aren't one of his disciples too, are you?" He denied it and said, "I am not." One of the high priest's servants, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, said, "Didn't I see you with him in the garden?" Peter denied it again, and immediately a rooster crowed. Then they led Jesus from Caiaphas to the governor's headquarters. It was early morning. They did not enter the headquarters themselves. Otherwise, they would be defiled and unable to eat the Passover. So Pilate came out to them and said, "What charge do you bring against this man?" They answered him, "If this man weren't a criminal, we wouldn't have handed him over to you." Pilate told them, "You take him and judge him according to your law." "It's not legal for us to put anyone to death," the Jews declared. They said this so that Jesus' words might be fulfilled, indicating what kind of death he was going to die. This passage with Peter is so relatable to me. Peter denies that he knows Jesus 3 times, and I can just feel the shame that he's most likely experiencing in that moment. Shame that he would carry with him, as the one that he promised to follow forever was dying on a cross. There's a Hebrew word that I've been thinking a lot about recently, and that word is chesed. You can kind of feel that tickle in your throat. And it's described as God's loyal love, a love that you can depend on and a love that is without conditions. Throughout the story of the Bible, we see the sin of people and the brokenness that results. And yet God's chesed, his loyal love, it's constant. It never changes. So here we are with Peter. And I don't know about you, but when I have that feeling of shame, I can tend to beat myself up over it, replaying it in my mind over and over again, telling God that I'm not worthy of his love. But God's chesed is revealed in human form through Jesus, where his loyal love took him to a cross to die the death that I deserve, that we deserve, buried in a tomb. But 3 days later, he would rise from the dead, conquering sin and death, giving us new life in him. Later on in this book of John, we see God's faithfulness and his loyal love as he forgives and he restores Peter, calling him to care for his people. God restores. What is that thing that you're beating yourself up over? The thing that you are pointing to and saying, "God, see this thing, this right here, this is why I'm just not worthy of your love." My prayer for all of us today is that we would look not to ourselves, but to the finished work of the cross and the empty tomb, and give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His chesed, his loyal love, endures forever. And praise God that it's not dependent on me. It is who God is. Thanks for joining me today. I can't wait to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus with you on Sunday. Bye.